Dr. Vex Morlock stood before the huge glass window in his laboratory. He looked out at the purple sky of Zephyr, his home planet. The 3 suns were setting, casting long shadows across the crystal towers of the capital city. He had been working on this project for 20 years. Today was the day he would show the world his greatest creation. The laboratory was filled with strange machines and glowing tubes. In the center of the room sat a small bottle filled with clear liquid. This liquid was called Dominium. It was the most powerful mind control drug ever made. Dr. Morlock had tested it on creatures from 40 different planets. Every single test had worked perfectly. Dr. Morlock picked up the bottle and held it up to the light. The liquid seemed to glow with its own inner fire. He had spent his entire life studying the minds of different species. He knew how thoughts worked, how memories formed, and how free will could be broken. This bottle contained the power to control any thinking being in the galaxy. The door to his laboratory opened with a soft hiss. Commander Zara Vorthik walked in, her tall frame filling the doorway. She wore the black uniform of the Zephyrian military, with silver badges showing her high rank. Her pale blue skin had the typical markings of a warrior-class Zephyrian. Her eyes were cold and calculating. "Doctor," she said in her deep voice, "the High Council is ready for your presentation." "Doctor." Morlock nodded and placed the bottle in a special carrying case. He followed Commander Vorthik through the corridors of the government building. The walls were covered with pictures of conquered worlds. The Zephyrian Empire had grown to control over 200 planets, but they had always had to fight for each one. Many good soldiers had died in these wars. They entered the council chamber, a huge room with a dome ceiling. 12 members of the High Council sat in floating chairs arranged in a circle. Each one represented a different part of the empire. At the center sat High Chancellor Morven Kale, the most powerful being on Zephyria. "Dr. Morlock," the Chancellor said, his voice echoing in the chamber, "show us what you have created." Dr. Morlock opened his case and took out the bottle. He connected it to a projection device that showed the liquid to everyone in the room. "Honored council members," he began, "I present to you Dominium, the end of all warfare." He pressed a button and holographic images filled the air above them. The images showed different alien creatures from across the galaxy. "I have tested this formula on 43 different species. The results are always the same. Within 10 minutes of exposure, any thinking being loses all free will. They become completely obedient to our commands." One of the council members, a female with golden skin markings, leaned forward. "What about the strong-minded species? The ethereals of Vos Prime claim their minds cannot be controlled." Dr. Morlock smiled. "I tested it on 3 ethereal prisoners last month. Even their powerful psychic abilities could not resist Dominium. They became as docile as children." The holographic display changed to show test footage. Proud warrior creatures from the planet Kragnoth, known for their fierce independence, sat quietly following simple commands. Brilliant scientists from the academic world solved complex problems, but only when ordered to do so. Even the machine-like synthetic collective had their electronic minds dominated by the chemical. High Chancellor Kale stood up from his floating chair. "This is impressive, Doctor. But what do you propose we do with this weapon?" "We end the age of conquest through war," Dr. Morlock replied. "Instead of sending armies to die on distant worlds, we simply release Dominium into the air above enemy cities. Within hours, entire planets will surrender without firing a shot." Commander Vorthik stepped forward. "Our intelligence division has identified the perfect target for the first test. A small planet called Earth, located in a system they call Sol. The dominant species calls itself human." She activated another holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, showing blue oceans and green continents. The humans are a young species. They have barely begun to explore space. Their technology is primitive compared to ours. Most importantly, they have no knowledge of mind control techniques, so they will have no defenses. Dr. Morlock nodded enthusiastically. Perfect. A simple species with basic minds will be the ideal test subjects. We can study how dominium affects an entire planetary population. The Chancellor looked at each council member in turn. What are your thoughts? It seems too easy, said one member. Surely there must be some risk? Dr. Morlock shook his head. The humans show no special mental abilities in our scans. They are actually quite ordinary compared to most species we have encountered. Their brains are simple, their thoughts are basic, and their society is still learning to work together. They will be the easiest conquest in our history. Another council member spoke up. What about their military? Even primitive weapons can be dangerous. Commander Vorthik laughed. Their most advanced weapons are chemical explosives and simple energy beams. Our shields can easily protect us from anything they might try to use against us. The Chancellor raised his hand for silence. Very well. Dr. Morlock, you have our approval to begin the Earth project. Commander Vorthik, prepare a fleet for the mission. Dr. Morlock felt a surge of excitement. After decades of research, he would finally see his creation used on a massive scale. Thank you, Chancellor. I will begin preparing larger quantities of dominium immediately. As the council meeting ended, Dr. Morlock and Commander Vorthik walked together toward the military planning center. How long will it take to prepare the fleet? The doctor asked. 3 weeks, she replied. We will use Admiral Corvex Thane's task force. 20 ships should be more than enough to handle one primitive planet. Dr. Morlock looked out through a window at the Zephyrian fleet in orbit above their planet. The ships were sleek and powerful, designed for conquering worlds. Soon they would travel to Earth and begin a new chapter in galactic history. The humans will not even know what happened to them, he said softly. One day they will be free, and the next they will be loyal citizens of the Empire. Commander Vorthik nodded. It will be our greatest victory. An entire world conquered without losing a single soldier. Neither of them could imagine that they were about to make the biggest mistake in Zephyrian history. The simple, primitive humans they planned to control would soon become the most dangerous enemy their empire had ever faced. 3 weeks later, the Zephyrian fleet moved through space toward Earth. Admiral Corvex Thane stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. He was a veteran of many conquests, but this one felt different. There would be no battle, no brave last stands, no heroic sacrifices. Just a simple chemical release, and another world would join the Empire. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we are entering the outer edge of their solar system. Their primitive sensors have not detected us yet. Admiral Thane nodded. The Zephyrian ships used advanced cloaking technology that made them invisible to human instruments. Maintain stealth until we reach deployment range. Dr. Morlock, are your preparations complete? Dr. Morlock looked up from his mobile laboratory station. He had installed his equipment on the flagship to personally oversee the first planetary deployment of dominium. Everything is ready, Admiral. We have enough of the Elixir to cover all major population centers simultaneously. On Earth, Captain. Jake Morrison sat in the command center of the Earth Defense Force. He was reviewing patrol reports when his radar operator called out in alarm. Sir, we have multiple contacts appearing on our scopes. They just materialized out of nowhere. Jake rushed to the radar station. The screen showed 20 large objects in orbit around Earth. They were massive, much larger than any human spacecraft. Get me President Martinez on the emergency line, he ordered. Within minutes, President Lisa Martinez was on the secure communication system from the White House. Captain Morrison, what is the situation? Ma'am, we have 20 unknown vessels. In orbit, they appeared without warning using some kind of stealth technology. Their size suggests they are military vessels. The President took a deep breath. This is first contact. Are they responding to our communication attempts? Yes, ma'am. They are transmitting on multiple frequencies. The message is being translated. Now, the translation came through clearly. People of Earth, we are the Zephyrian Empire. You will submit to our authority or face the consequences. Resistance is futile. Your leaders will report to our ships within 1 hour. President Martinez felt her heart pounding. Humanity's first contact with alien life was not the peaceful meeting they had always hoped for. Captain, what are our defensive options? Jake looked at his tactical display. Limited, ma'am. Our most advanced fighters are still in the prototype stage. We have some orbital defense platforms, but nothing designed to fight ships of this size. Above the planet, Admiral Thane was growing impatient. The humans have not responded to our demands. Dr. Morlock, begin the deployment. Dr. Morlock activated his systems, beginning atmospheric release of dominium over major population centers. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, and Los Angeles will be the first targets. The Zephyrian ships released invisible clouds of the mind control elixir. The chemicals spread quickly through the air, carried by wind currents and atmospheric circulation. Within minutes, millions of humans had breathed in the alien substance. In New York City, construction worker Tony Rodriguez was eating lunch on the 23rd floor of a building site. He suddenly felt strange, like his mind was expanding. He looked at the steel beams around him and saw patterns he had never noticed before. The building's structure seemed to speak to him, showing him ways to make it stronger and more efficient. Tony put down his sandwich and picked up his welding torch. He began working on the beams, but not in the way he had been taught. His hands moved with incredible precision, creating joints that were perfect in every detail. Other workers stopped to watch as Tony built structures that looked like impossible. Works of art. In a classroom across the city, teacher Amanda White was explaining basic mathematics to her students when the elixir reached her. Suddenly, the simple equations on the blackboard transformed in her mind. She saw connections between numbers that revealed deep truths about the universe. Her chalk began moving across the board, writing formulas that would have challenged the greatest mathematicians. The students stared in wonder as their teacher filled the board with complex calculations. They did not understand the math, but somehow they could sense that something important was happening. On Wall Street, stock trader Kevin Park was reviewing market reports when his mind began to change. The numbers on his computer screen started forming patterns that showed him exactly how the market would move. He could see the future of every stock, every currency, every commodity. His fingers flew across his keyboard as he made trades that would have been impossible just minutes before. Dr. Morlock watched the sensor readings from his laboratory. This is strange, he muttered. The humans are not showing the expected response patterns. Admiral Thane walked over to the doctor's station. What do you mean? Look at these brain scans, Dr. Morlock said, pointing to his displays. Instead of the neural suppression we see in other species, the human brains are showing increased activity, much increased activity. In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Captain Morrison was receiving reports from around the world. Sir, we are getting unusual reports from all the major cities. People are behaving strangely, but not in the way we expected. What kind of behavior? President Martinez asked over the communication link. Enhanced behavior, ma'am? Construction. Workers are building things that seem impossible. Teachers are solving advanced mathematics. Traders are making perfect market predictions. It's like they have all suddenly become much smarter. Dr. Morlack was now frantically checking his equipment. Something is wrong. The elixir is not working as designed. Instead of controlling their minds, it seems to be enhancing their abilities. Marine biologist Dr. Susan Clark was working at the aquarium when the change hit her. She had been studying dolphin behavior, but now she could understand what the dolphins were actually saying. Their clicks and whistles formed a complex language that told her about unusual activity in the ocean. The dolphins had been watching strange objects in the sky for weeks. Susan walked to the edge of the dolphin pool and began making sounds that she somehow knew the dolphins would understand. They responded immediately, swimming to her and sharing information about the alien ships. They told her that whales across the ocean were also aware of the threat and were ready to help. Software engineer Ryan Cooper was debugging code when his mind suddenly saw through the complexity of computer systems like looking through clear glass. He realized that the strange interference in global communications was coming from the alien ships. Without hesitation, he began typing commands that accessed systems he had never touched before. Within minutes, Ryan had broken through the Zephyrian communication networks. He could see their transmissions, understand their language, and even access their tactical data. The aliens had expected to face primitive humans, but instead they were being hacked by someone who now understood their technology better than they did. Physicist Dr. Alan Foster was working late in his laboratory when the elixir changed him. Complex theories about space and time that had puzzled him for years suddenly became clear. He could see how the alien ships worked, what energy they used, and most importantly, how to disrupt their systems. Alan began building devices from equipment. In his lab, his hands moved with perfect knowledge, creating tools that could interfere with alien technology. He worked with the focused intensity of someone who finally understood the secrets of the universe. Admiral Thane was becoming concerned. Dr. Morlock, how long until the elixir takes full effect? It should have worked already, the doctor replied, sweat forming on his blue skin. Something is very wrong. The humans are not being controlled. They are being enhanced. On Earth, the enhanced humans were beginning to find each other. They communicated through methods they had never used before, sharing knowledge and coordinating their actions. The aliens had expected to face a confused and helpless population. Instead, they had created an enemy that was growing stronger every minute. The first phase of the Zephyrian conquest had failed completely. Instead of controlling humanity, they had given humans abilities that made them more dangerous than any species in the galaxy. The war for Earth was about to begin, but not in the way anyone had expected. The effects of the Dominium elixir spread across Earth like wildfire. Within hours, millions of humans had been transformed. But instead of becoming obedient servants, they were becoming something the Zephyrians had never encountered before. The enhanced humans were not just individuals with improved abilities. They were beginning to work together in ways that seemed impossible. Dr. Susan Clark stood by the ocean near the Marine Research Center. The dolphins had told her that whales around the world were gathering in unusual patterns. She closed her eyes and somehow felt connected to the massive creatures swimming in the depths. Through this connection, she learned that the whales had been watching the alien ships for weeks before they appeared to humans. They have been preparing, she whispered to herself. The whales and dolphins were not just animals. They were intelligent beings who had been waiting for the right moment to help humanity. The alien elixir had given Susan the ability to communicate with them, but it had also revealed that Earth's ocean life was far more aware than anyone had realized. Susan picked up her phone and called other marine biologists around the world. She found that many of them had also been enhanced by the elixir. Together, they began coordinating with sea creatures across the planet. The aliens controlled the sky, but the oceans belonged to Earth. Meanwhile, software engineer Ryan Cooper had not left his computer in 12 hours. His enhanced mind could process information at incredible speeds. He had broken into the Zephyrian communication networks and was learning everything about their technology. The aliens used quantum encryption. That should have been impossible to crack, but Ryan's transformed brain saw through it like reading a simple book. "They are not as advanced as they think," Ryan said to his colleague, programmer Lisa Park, who had also been enhanced. "Their technology is impressive, but it follows patterns we can understand and disrupt." Lisa nodded as she worked on another. "Computer, I am accessing their ship systems now. They have weaknesses in their power distribution networks. If we can coordinate an attack on those systems, we might be able to disable their entire fleet." Ryan paused in his typing. "Lisa, how do we know how to do this? Yesterday, we were debugging simple software. Today, we are hacking alien spacecraft." "I do not know," Lisa replied, "but somehow the knowledge is there. It is like we always knew how to do these things, but we just could not access the information before." Across the country, physicist Dr. Alan Foster was working with a team of enhanced scientists. They had gathered in his laboratory and were building devices that seemed to come from science fiction movies. Dr. Foster held up a small device that hummed with energy. "This will create electromagnetic pulses that can disrupt their cloaking systems," he explained to his team. "If we can make them visible to our military satellites, Earth's defense forces will have targets to shoot at." Dr. Sarah Kim, a nuclear physicist who had joined the team, looked at the device with amazement. "Alan, this technology is at least 50 years ahead of anything we had yesterday. How are we able to build these things?" Dr. Foster shrugged. "I wish I knew. But right now, understanding how is less important than understanding what we need to do. The aliens made a mistake when they used their elixir on us. Instead of controlling our minds, they unlocked abilities we never knew we had." The enhanced humans were not just working in small groups. They were forming a global network of resistance. Farmer Dale Thompson, in Kansas, discovered that his new understanding of electromagnetic fields allowed him to turn his farm equipment into powerful signal amplifiers. He began coordinating with other farmers across the American Midwest, creating a communication network that the aliens could not detect or jam dot in Mumbai, India. Artist Maya Singh found that her paintings were no longer just art. The complex patterns she was creating were actually tactical diagrams that other enhanced humans could understand instantly. Her artwork showed troop movements, ship positions, and battle strategies that military commanders around the world began using to coordinate their defenses. The Zephyrians were starting to realize that their perfect conquest was becoming a disaster. Commander Vorthik stood in the flagship's command center, watching reports from around the planet. "Admiral, the human resistance is growing stronger by the hour. They are coordinating actions across their entire planet." Admiral Thane looked at the tactical displays with growing concern. "How is this possible?" "Dr. Morlock, what did your elixir do to them?" Dr. Morlock was examining brain scans of the enhanced humans. "Their neural activity is unlike anything I have ever seen. Instead of suppressing their free will, the elixir seems to have activated dormant parts of their brains. They are not just smarter than before. They are thinking in ways that no other species has ever demonstrated." "What do you mean?" Commander Vorthik asked. "Look at these scans," Dr. Morlock said, pointing to his displays. "Normal thinking beings use their brains in predictable patterns. Even the most intelligent species we have encountered follow standard neural pathways. But these enhanced humans are creating new pathways in real time. They are literally evolving their thinking abilities as we watch." On Earth, the enhanced humans were beginning to make their first coordinated moves. Mechanic Pete Johnson had gathered a team of enhanced engineers in Detroit. They were working on crashed pieces of Zephyrian technology that had fallen during the initial approach. Pete's hands moved with impossible skill as he took apart alien components. "This is incredible," said engineer Nancy Davis as she examined a piece of the alien metal. "The material is using molecular bonding techniques that we have never seen before. But somehow I understand how it works." Pete nodded as he connected alien circuits to human power sources. "We can not only understand their technology, we can improve it. Look at this." He showed Nancy a device he had built using both human and alien components. "This scanner can detect their ships even when they are cloaked." Word of Pete's success spread quickly through the enhanced human network. Soon, teams of mechanics and engineers around the world were working on similar projects. They were not just defending against the alien technology. They were adapting it and making it better. Librarian Carol Davis sat in the New York Public Library, but she was not reading books. Her enhanced mind was accessing the Zephyrian databases that Ryan Cooper had opened. She was learning about the alien empire, their history, their weaknesses, and their fears. "This is fascinating," Carol said to her colleague, Librarian Robert Stone, who was also enhanced. "The Zephyrians have conquered over 200 worlds, but they have never faced a species like us. What makes us different?" Robert asked. Carol pulled up holographic displays showing the brain patterns of different alien species. Every other species they have conquered shows similar neural structures. When exposed to their elixir, their brains shut down into obedient patterns. But human brains work differently. Instead of shutting down, we expand. The enhanced humans were learning that their abilities were not just individual improvements. They were part of a collective awakening that was making humanity stronger as a whole. Pilot Claire Adams was flying a modified fighter jet that she had redesigned using her enhanced understanding of aerodynamics and alien technology. "Control tower, this is Eagle One," she radioed to the Air Force Base. "I have visual contact with the alien fleet. They are not as invisible as they think." "Ground." Control responded immediately. "Eagle One, how are you able to see them?" "The enhanced humans have developed new scanning technology," Claire replied. "We can now track their ships even when they are cloaked. I am uploading the targeting data to all defense systems now." Around the world, enhanced humans were sharing their discoveries through the network they had formed. Teacher Amanda White was working with students who had also been exposed to the elixir. Together, they were solving mathematical problems that revealed how to predict alien ship movements. Chef Rosa Martinez was creating nutritional compounds that boosted human physical abilities, while paramedic Steve Lewis was developing medical techniques that could heal injuries in hours instead of days. Every enhanced human was contributing to the collective resistance. The Zephyrians had expected to face a primitive species that would submit within hours. Instead, they were confronting an enemy that was growing stronger and more coordinated. Every minute, the aliens had not conquered Earth. They had awakened something that would change the galaxy forever. The enhanced humans had been working together for only 24 hours, but they had already accomplished what seemed impossible. Their global network of resistance was more coordinated than any military force in human history. The Zephyrians were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. Commander Vorthik stood in the flagship's war room, looking at tactical displays that showed the situation on Earth. Red markers indicated human resistance activities. There were thousands of them, spread across every continent. "Admiral, the humans are not just resisting, they are winning." Admiral Fane studied the displays with growing alarm. How can a primitive species be defeating our advanced technology? Dr. Morlick looked up from his research station. "They are no longer primitive, Admiral. The elixir has transformed them into something we have never encountered before. Their problem-solving abilities are beyond anything in our databases. On Earth, The enhanced humans were launching their first major counterattack. Mechanic Pete Johnson and his team had reverse-engineered enough alien technology to build weapons that could penetrate Zephyrian defenses. They had shared their discoveries with military forces around the world. General Martinez, Pete said to the Air Force commander, these plasma cannons use the same energy principles as their ship weapons, but we have made improvements that make them more powerful than the original designs. General Martinez looked at the sleek weapons that Pete's team had built. How is this possible? Yesterday, these were just pieces of crashed alien metal. The Elixir changed us, Pete replied. We can understand technology in ways we never could before. We do not just copy their designs, we make them better. Across the country, librarian Carol Davis had discovered something important in the Zephyrian databases. She was sharing her findings with the global network of enhanced humans. Everyone needs to know this, she said to her colleague Robert Stone. The Zephyrians have a weakness they do not even know about. What did you find? Robert asked. Carol showed him data from the alien empire's history. They have conquered over 200 worlds using the same methods every time. Release the Elixir, control the population, integrate the planet into their empire. But they have never faced a species that became stronger when exposed to their control methods. What does that mean for us? Robert asked. It means they have no plan for what to do when their primary weapon fails, Carol replied. Their entire military strategy depends on the Elixir working. Without it, they are just another alien species with advanced technology, and we are learning to match their technology very quickly. In space, the Zephyrian fleet was receiving reports of failures from around the planet. Their ground teams had been unable to establish control over any major city. Instead, humans were hunting their soldiers with weapons that seemed to come from nowhere. Dr. Morlock, Admiral Thane said, can you increase the concentration of the Elixir? If we use a stronger dose, perhaps we can overcome their resistance. Doctor, Morlock looked uncertain. We could try, Admiral. But the current dose is already 10 times stronger than what we used on other species. I am not sure what a higher concentration might do. We have no choice, the Admiral replied. Deploy the enhanced Elixir over the largest population centers. We must regain control of this situation. Dr. Morlock began preparing the stronger version of Dominium. He loaded it into the deployment systems and aimed the release mechanisms at major cities around the world. Beginning deployment of enhanced Elixir now. The new, more powerful version of the alien chemical spread through the atmosphere. It reached millions of humans who had not been exposed to the original dose. But instead of creating the obedient servants that the Zephyrians wanted, the stronger Elixir created an even more dramatic transformation. In Chicago, engineer Danny Mills was working on power systems when the enhanced Elixir reached him. His understanding of energy and physics exploded beyond anything he had experienced before. He could see how electricity flowed through the city's power grid, how to make it more efficient, and how to weaponize it against the alien ships. This is incredible, Danny said to his team. I can see how to turn the entire city's power system into a massive electromagnetic weapon. We can fire energy beams directly at their ships from the ground. Chef Rosa Martinez was in her restaurant kitchen when the enhanced Elixir transformed her abilities even further. She had been creating nutritional compounds that boosted human performance, but now she could design substances that would make humans temporarily superhuman. Her understanding of biochemistry had advanced by decades in just minutes. Everyone needs to try this, Rosa said to her staff as she mixed a new compound. This will increase strength, speed, and reflexes by at least 50%, and the effects last for hours. Paramedic Steve Lewis was treating injured soldiers when the stronger Elixir reached him. His medical knowledge expanded to include techniques that seemed like magic. He could heal broken bones in minutes, repair damaged organs, and even reverse the effects of severe injuries. "This is beyond medicine," Steve said to his partner, paramedic Linda Clark. "I can see how the human body works at the cellular level. I can repair damage that should be impossible to fix." The enhanced Elixir was creating humans with abilities that seemed to violate the laws of physics. But instead of making them easier to control, it was making them even more dangerous to the Zephyrian fleet. Pilot Claire Adams was flying her modified fighter jet when the stronger Elixir reached her through the atmospheric systems. Her understanding of flight and space combat evolved instantly. She could see weaknesses in the alien ship designs that no one had noticed before. "Control tower, this is Eagle One," she radioed. "I am beginning an attack run on the flagship. I can see exactly where to hit them to cause maximum damage." "Eagle One, you are cleared for attack," came the reply. "All Earth Defense Forces are supporting your mission." Claire dove toward the massive Zephyrian flagship, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to avoid their defensive fire with impossible precision. She fired her new plasma weapons at specific points on the ship's hull, targeting the weaknesses she could somehow see clearly. The flagship shuddered as Claire's weapons struck critical systems. "Direct hit," she reported. "Their main power system is damaged. They are losing cloaking ability." Around the world, enhanced humans were launching coordinated attacks on the alien fleet. They were not just defending their planet anymore. They were going on the offensive. Software engineer Ryan Cooper had accessed the Zephyrian fleet's computer systems completely. "I have control of their navigation systems," he reported to the global network. "I can force their ships to move wherever we want them to go." "Do it," came the reply from multiple enhanced humans around the world. "Move them into position for our ground-based weapons." Ryan's fingers flew across his keyboard as he sent commands to the alien fleet. The Zephyrian ships began moving against their crew's wishes, positioning themselves perfectly for the weapons that Earth's defenders had built. Admiral Thane watched in horror as his ships moved without his orders. "What is happening? Why are we changing position?" "The humans have gained control of our computer systems," his tactical officer reported. "They are moving us directly into their weapon range." On Earth, the enhanced humans were ready. Danny Mills activated his citywide electromagnetic weapon. Rosa Martinez distributed her performance-enhancing compounds to soldiers around the world. Steve Lewis began healing wounded fighters faster than they could be injured. The tide of battle had turned completely. The Zephyrians had come to conquer a primitive planet, but instead they had created an enemy that was more advanced than themselves. The enhanced humans were not just defending Earth. They were preparing to take the fight to the alien empire itself. Dr. Morlock stared at his instruments in disbelief. "Admiral, we have lost control of the situation. The humans are not just resisting. They are defeating us." Admiral Thane realized that the greatest military force in the galaxy was about to be destroyed by a species they had underestimated. The perfect conquest had become a perfect disaster. The final battle for Earth had begun, but it was not the battle that anyone had expected. The Zephyrian fleet, once confident in their superior technology, was now fighting for survival against an enemy that had become more advanced than themselves. In just days, Admiral Thane stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship, watching as human fighters attacked his fleet with weapons that seemed impossible. The humans were not just using their own technology anymore. They were using improved versions of Zephyrian weapons that were more powerful than the originals. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "we have lost 6 ships. The humans are targeting our weak points with perfect precision. They know our technology better than we do." Dr. Morlock was frantically studying the data from Earth. "Admiral, I think I understand what happened. The human brain is different from every other species we have encountered. Instead of suppressing their free will, Our elixir activated dormant genetic codes that had been sleeping in their DNA for thousands of years. What do you mean? Admiral Fane asked. The humans are not just becoming smarter, Dr. Morlock explained. They are evolving into what they were always meant to become. Our elixir was the trigger that started a transformation that was already programmed into their genetic structure. On Earth, the enhanced humans were launching their final assault. They had moved beyond simply defending their planet. They were now pursuing the retreating Zephyrian ships into space using technology they had built in just days. Pilot Claire Adams was leading a squadron of human fighters that could match the speed and power of alien spacecraft. Her enhanced understanding of physics had allowed her to design engines that used principles the Zephyrians had never discovered. All units, this is Eagle One, she radioed to her squadron. We are in pursuit of the alien fleet. Do not let them escape to threaten other worlds. Behind her flew fighters piloted by other enhanced humans. Each pilot had abilities that exceeded anything in human history. They could react faster than computers, see patterns in enemy movements that were invisible to normal perception, and coordinate their attacks with perfect precision. Engineer Danny Mills had built massive energy weapons. On the surface of Earth, they could fire beams across space. His understanding of electromagnetic principles had advanced so far that he could create weapons that were more powerful than anything the Zephyrians had ever seen. Firing main battery, Danny reported to the global network. Target is the alien. Flagship, a beam of pure energy shot from Earth's surface toward the Zephyrian fleet. It struck the flagship with devastating force, overloading their shields and causing massive damage to their hull. Admiral Fane felt his ship shake as the human weapon tore through their defenses. All ships retreat to jump distance. We must escape before they destroy the entire fleet. But the enhanced humans had anticipated this move. Software engineer Ryan Cooper had maintained control of the Zephyrian computer systems. I am blocking their jump engines, he reported to the global network. They cannot escape until we allow them to. Dr. Morlock realized that his life's work had created the greatest disaster in Zephyrian history. Admiral, we must try to communicate with them. Perhaps we can negotiate. What could we possibly offer them? Admiral Fane asked bitterly. The truth, Dr. Morlock replied. We must tell them what we have learned about their transformation. On Earth, the enhanced humans were receiving the Zephyrian communication request. Tony Rodriguez, the construction worker who had been among the first to be transformed, was now part of the leadership council that had formed among the enhanced humans. They want to talk, Tony reported to the other council members. Should we listen to what they have to say? Dr. Susan Clark, who could still communicate with the dolphins and whales, nodded. The ocean creatures say that the aliens are afraid. They know they have lost this battle. Teacher Amanda White, whose mathematical abilities now exceeded the greatest scientists in human history, looked at the tactical displays. We have won the military conflict, but we need to understand what they did to us and why. The Council agreed to hear what the Zephyrians had to say. A communication link was established between the damaged flagship and the Earth Council. Dr. Morlock appeared on the screen, his blue skin pale with exhaustion and fear. Enhanced humans of Earth, I am Dr. Vex Morlock, creator of the elixir that was used against you. We know who you are, Tony replied. We have accessed all of your research data. The question is, what do you want to tell us that we do not already? No? Dr. Morlock took a deep breath. You are unique in the galaxy. In 43 species tested, the Dominium elixir always produced the same result, complete mental submission. But in humans, it triggered something that we have never seen before. What exactly did it trigger? Dr. Susan Clark asked. Your species has genetic codes that were dormant until our elixir activated them, Dr. Morlock explained. You are not just enhanced humans. You are what your species was always meant to become. The Elixir simply accelerated an evolutionary process that would have taken thousands of years to occur naturally. Amanda White processed this information with her enhanced mathematical mind. That explains why our abilities continue to grow instead of reaching a plateau. We are still evolving. Dr. Morlock nodded. Yes, and based on our projections, your abilities will continue to increase for several more days before stabilizing at levels that are far beyond anything we have encountered in the galaxy. Admiral Thane stepped into view on the communication screen. We surrender unconditionally. We ask only that you allow us to return to our home world. The human council members looked at each other. They could destroy the Zephyrian fleet easily, but that would not solve the larger problem. Librarian Carol Davis, who had studied the alien empire's history, spoke up. Your empire has conquered over 200 worlds using the same methods you tried on us. What about all those enslaved peoples? Admiral Thane looked uncomfortable. They remain under the control of the Elixir. They are loyal citizens of the Empire. That is not citizenship, Tony said firmly. That is slavery. We cannot allow you to continue controlling other species. Ryan Cooper had been monitoring Zephyrian communications across the galaxy. I have been tracking their Empire's communication networks. There are rebellions starting on several conquered worlds. Word of their defeat here is spreading. Chef Rosa Martinez, whose biochemical knowledge now surpassed the greatest researchers in the galaxy, made a suggestion. We could create an antidote to their elixir, something that would free the enslaved populations. Is that possible? Dr. Morlock asked, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. Rosa smiled. With our enhanced abilities, it is not just possible. It is inevitable. We understand their elixir better than they do now. The enhanced humans had reached a decision. Instead of simply defeating the Zephyrian fleet, they would transform the entire situation into something positive for the galaxy. Paramedic Steve Lewis, whose medical abilities could now heal injuries that were previously fatal, addressed the aliens. We offer you a choice. Help us free the enslaved worlds, and we will share our enhanced abilities with volunteers from your species and others. Share our abilities? Dr. Morlock asked in amazement. The enhancement process is not limited to humans, Amanda White explained. We have analyzed the genetic patterns of various species. We can modify the process to work safely on other intelligent beings. Admiral Thane could not believe what he was hearing. You would make your enemies as powerful as yourselves? We would make allies instead of enemies, Tony replied. The galaxy has enough conquest and control. It is time for cooperation and mutual enhancement. Dr. Morlock was fascinated by the possibility. What you are proposing would change the entire structure of galactic civilization. Yes, Dr. Susan Clark said simply. That is exactly what we are proposing. The negotiations continued for hours. The enhanced humans laid out their vision for a new galactic alliance based on cooperation rather than conquest. Species would join voluntarily and could leave freely. Instead of one empire controlling others, there would be a network of enhanced civilizations working together. The Zephyrians agreed to the human proposal. They would help free the enslaved worlds and would share their technology in exchange for access to the enhancement process. 6 months later, the galaxy was transforming. The Zephyrian Empire had become the Galactic Cooperation Alliance. Dozens of species had undergone controlled enhancement processes designed specifically for their biology. The former slave worlds were now free and thriving members of the Alliance. Dr. Morlock worked alongside human scientists in laboratories on Earth and other worlds. I spent my life trying to control minds, he said to his human colleague, Dr. Alan Foster. But you have shown me that the greatest achievement is to free minds. Admiral Thane, now a coordinator for the Alliance fleet, stood on the bridge of a ship crewed by beings from 12 different worlds. They worked together with enhanced abilities that made them more effective than any single species crew had ever been. The enhanced humans had become teachers and guides for the galaxy. Their unique response to the mind control elixir had revealed something important about consciousness and free will. They had proven that,